Hello lovely audience. In this session you're going to discover a 4-step formula that has driven all marketing and advertising as a structure for decades. Here it is. If your marketing piece doesn't get noticed in the first place, if it doesn't grab attention, no one's going to read the rest of it. Then if it's not interesting, it won't capture them and they won't make it to the end. Then you've got to trigger desire in your reader so that they realise your brand, your product or your service is a good fit for them and the problem they want to solve or the goal they want to achieve. And finally, you've got to tempt them to take action. First of all, let's talk about grabbing attention. And in order to do that, I need you to look at the next slide for 3 seconds. And your task is to count how many red dots you see. Are you ready? Here we go. There you are, back in the room. Now, how many blue squares were there? I know, it's a trick question. Now let me put you out of your misery and say, how many red dots were there? Chances are pretty much everybody will agree that there were 8 red dots. Let me share that image again, and what you'll see in fact is that there were 8 of all the symbols. Now what's going on? In a day we get more marketing stimulus and information than our grandparents did in a lifetime, and the human brain can't cope with that amount of input. So what we do as human beings, we just filter out anything that is not directly relevant. And that's probably what just happened to you. You were obedient people. You were told to count red dots, so you obediently counted red dots, and your brain filtered out anything that wasn't a red dot. Now, why that's important in marketing and advertising is because there's so much noise out there that if you want your advert to be noticed or your marketing piece, it has to be directly laser focused, relevant to what people are looking for. Let's imagine that you can travel anywhere in the world that you want to, and travel restrictions have been lifted. And you've always dreamed of seeing Mount Everest, so you book a hotel with a view of Mount Everest, and you get there and you fling open the window. What do you think you see? Well, normally people say things like, it's cloudy, it's dark, it's snowing, or it's a brick wall or a car park. No, there are no more trick questions. What you see is something that looks a bit like this. Because the thing is, Mount Everest is in the Himalayas. It's a mountain range, but the trouble is you don't know if it's this one, which is nearer, so it looks bigger, or if it's that one, which is further away, and it looks smaller. But you also get the chance to go to Australia and see Ayers Rock, Uluru, and you book your hotel, get your minibus dawn or dusk and drive out to Uluru, hop off your minibus. What do you think you see? Something that looks a bit like this. It's a dirty great red rock sticking out of a flat red desert. Now the thing is, Uluru is about 1/10 the size of Everest. But the impact of seeing it is greater because it's different from its environment. And the moral of that story is you want to be Uluru, not Everest, in your advertising and marketing. You want to stand out from the rest, because if you present yourself to the world the exact same way everyone else does, even if you're the biggest and best in the world, you're not going to get noticed. How do you keep people interested in what it is that you have to say? And I am going to draw a little picture to illustrate one of the writing techniques that will help you do that. So let's imagine that this is you, and this over here is your ideal target customer. Now you've got a message that you want to communicate, so I'm going to draw a speech bubble, and let's say this is your message. And your goal is to get your message into the brain of your reader. Now the trouble is they've already got something in their brain, at least you hope so. What they've got is a thought. Now, their thought is what's in it for me, or WIFM for short. Now, the thing is, most people, when they write their own copy, will write using words such as I, us, we, our, or they'll use their company name. Now, I call that top-down language because it is the company talking to the customer. However, there are only two words that answer this question from this person's point of view, and those words are you and your. The only word in the English language that's more powerful than those is the person's own name, and with most marketing and advertising you don't know what their name is, so you can't use it. Not in your advert unless it's an email or an in-mail or an individual one-to-one marketing campaign rather than a one-to-many marketing campaign. And at a time like this, in a crisis, it's a lot easier to win business in a one-to-one human-to-human relationship than it is in a B2B or B2C mass marketing campaign. So that's one way to keep them interested. If you make it all about them, using the words you and your, that's what I call bottom-up language. If you cross out all the top-down words and replace them with bottom-up words, it's instantly going to be more interesting to your reader. Because, and this is really important, they don't care who you are till they know what you can do for them. It's so important, I'll say it twice, they don't care who you are until they know what you can do for them. So that's one way to keep people interested. Of course, you're not going to abolish the top-down language completely, but if you use bottom-up language at least 2 or 3 times as much, that's fine. And probably you would use the top-down words towards the end of your marketing piece rather than at the beginning. Let's imagine you are trying to sell an online training course. It's pretty easy to list the features of the training course. Let's say it's on Zoom. What else might you say? The length of time it takes, perhaps. What it costs. You might talk about the credentials of the person presenting, or the fact that only a limited number of people can attend. You might talk about some of the features of the actual program itself. Then what you need to do is go through the advantage of each feature, and how you do that is by asking so what, who cares, or which means that. So what is the advantage of it being on Zoom? Well, let's say there's no travel. It's 1 hour. So what? So you can learn during your lunch break. The price is cheap. Well, who cares? Well, because that meets your budget. It's an expert speaker, which means that you get quality information. It's a small group, which means that you get personal attention. You can see with every feature, you can see the advantage of that feature by asking yourself those questions, and then taking it even further. What is the benefit of it being on Zoom, so there's no travel, when the benefit is, well, you can learn anywhere? How about the benefit of being able to learn during your lunch break? Well, let's say it leaves you more time to do other things. What would you say is the benefit of a price that meets your budget? It means that whoever is the procurement manager has more money to spend on other things. And so on. You can go down the entire column, turning features into benefits by asking so what, who cares, or what does that mean? The final step for really advanced copywriting is to think, what emotion does that benefit trigger? And these are the ones I thought of. You can see you pretty much always end up with a positive emotion, and when you've got that emotion, you can then work backwards from there, because you wouldn't choose all of these. You choose one thing, keep it simple, and you choose which thing is the main thing that matters most to your target audience, and you would write your copy based on that, using words that sell the benefits and that trigger that emotion of convenience or freedom or reassurance or pride. And then finally, how do you prompt people to take action? Well, in the old days, the only thing you could do was clip out a coupon. And all the studies showed that people are obedient, and that if you give them a dotted line with a scissors symbol and the words cut here, they are more likely to cut along the dotted line. You're probably the same today. If you do online shopping and you order a parcel and it arrives with a dotted line and a scissors symbol and the words cut here, chances are you'll cut along the dotted line unless you're a real rebel. And that's all a call to action needs to be. It's short and sweet and the equivalent of a scissors symbol and the words cut here. Just to recap, you've got A for attention, I for interest, D for desire, A for action. Aida is the 4-step formula that helps turn writing into copywriting.